next keynote address, I would request Mr. Abhijit Ranjan, Chief Revenue Officer, Public App, to please join me on the dais. And ladies and gentlemen, he'll be talking on understanding Bharatiya consumer insights from Public App. Over to you, sir. Can we welcome him with a big round of applause? Hi.
Good afternoon, everyone. After a very interesting session on building communities for mom, I've got something serious with understanding the news consumption patterns for Bharat at large, the tier 3 towns of India. So I represent InShorts Group, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with InShorts, probably users of InShorts as well. We launched it in 2013. So I'll take you to the journey of starting with InShorts, what was the insight behind launching InShorts, and then what made us launch another app called Public 2 years back, and what were the key insights behind that. So InShorts, as you guys are aware, we launched in 2013. That was a time when a lot of youngsters, 18 to 35, they were actually moving away from newspapers and television and moving to digital. And that was happening in metro specifically. So, and there was a lot of consumption happening on Instagram and Facebook and these kind of social media apps. So, but there was no equivalent for news. So we knew that there is a space there where if we can get the youngsters news in a format that they like, so the UI UX is very important, and also give them a good combination of national international news. So that's why we started the news in 60 words format. That's a global first. We were the first one to launch it, and it was a tremendous success. We've gone from strength to strength after launching it. What we did is that we did an aggregation of all the top publishers and all the top TV channels and gave the news. We had a very good tech stack there, and we made sure that the AI ML engine was the best. So out of, say, 300, 400 stories that we're getting, our tech engine basically made sure that the first 60, 70 that the consumer is seeing is the most relevant to you. So if you're interested in sports, you see the sports news first. If you're interested in business, you see it. It's almost like you're reading Times of India, spending 15, 20 minutes looking for the best stories. Here, an app is giving you those stories in 60 words and giving you all this news while you're busy and on the go. So after 5 years, in 2019, we realized that while we're doing amazing for InShorts, and lots of brands have also kind of come on board and seen how it is beneficial working with us. We were still addressing a very small part of India, right? So so for this, we looked at India at a 4-tier level. If we classify India, there are 4 Indias that come from a user point of view. First one is India Alpha. That is where InShorts actually plays in, along with Netflix, Cred, and a couple of other players like that. So that's basically top 5% of tier 1 cities and top 0.1% of tier 2 cities. So while we are doing quite well there, these are guys who are English native and westernized in the thoughts. But beyond that, in India 1, 2, and 3, we didn't have a play. And if you think about India 1 now, these are the guys who are fluent in English. They are quite digitally savvy. They prefer convenience over cost, right? And these are typically the tier 1 cities that you talk about, the 100-odd tier 1 cities. Then coming to the next one, tier 2. Now these guys prefer vernacular content over English. Though they understand English, they prefer vernacular. And they are digitally savvy. They are getting more and more digitally savvy as we go along, and they're aspiring for a better lifestyle. So that's a very big 100 million base. In terms of GDP, the contribution for India 1 and India 2 is around 1 trillion and 300 billion. So that's around 10K per capita for India 1 and 3K. So that's like, Mexico has a similar per capita like India 1, and Philippines as like India 2. So these were 2 big markets that we saw that we should focus on. So if you look at public now, what we are focusing 50% of India 1 roughly, entire India 2, and India 3, which is the tier 3 towns and rural centers, the top 10, 20% of that. So in total, if you look at it, we are talking about around 300 million users that we are looking at as a addressable base. So talking about our vernacular users now, overall online vernacular audience now, that is increasing at a very, very fast pace. Right now, overall vernacular audience has already migrated to say a OTT and sports, but for news that aggregate that is growing at a much faster pace now. So overall, the market is around 300 million, according to us. Very low penetration right now because there are not too many apps which are catering to them, not too many websites which are catering to them. And another fact is that, as we can see, basis different reports, India will have a bigger internet audience from rural towns compared to urban towns. So by 2024, most reports are saying. So the pace of growth and the new internet users are coming from the rural towns, and they would want content in vernacular. So while we're clear that now the market is there for the taking, there's around 300 million users that are there who want news and the growth is there. For us, the easy thing would have been just to take in shots and just repurpose it in a Hindi or vernacular language and just launch it as is. But when we did our research, we found it very clear that the consumer in a metro or a tier 1 is very different from a tier 2, tier 3 town. And that's why we have to really cater the app to him. So we really have to make changes basis the insights we get. And we got 3 major insights while we're doing the research while launching the app in 2019. The first one was that the consumer in tier 2, tier 3 towns, they prefer consuming content on video rather than reading. So while most of them can read, but they would prefer consuming content on video rather than reading short form or long form content. So that is the first switch we made. InShots is a text app. It's almost a 95% text-based app. We have a little bit of videos there. But public, we decided that will be a 100% video app covering only 100 and short videos because they do not have the attention span of consuming long videos. So typically snacky videos, 1 to 2 minutes. That is the first thing. Second, more than 90% users in tier 2, tier 3 towns, they want content which is vernacular. So actually 60% want only vernacular content and 30% are okay with vernacular along with English. But around 90% want vernacular. So another thing was very clear for us is that we launch in all the major vernacular languages in India from day one. So we launched in 12 plus languages and covered all the major states in India. And the third insight, which was the biggest actually, the most key insight for us, was that they preferred consuming lot of hyperlocal content. And not just hyperlocal, they wanted credible hyperlocal content. That is the glaring need for them to be, to basically know what is happening in their community, know what is happening around them, and they were basically starved for a source which can give them credible local content. So some more information about the Bharat consumer while we were launching the app. One we saw is that news consumption, just like sports and entertainment consumption, was rapidly shifting to digital. So if you see the marketing money is also on, say, sports. So the IPL bid is already for the next 5 years similar for television and digital, 25,000 crore each. So that typically means that if the marketer is going to spend 100 rupees, 50 will go to digital and 50 will go to print. However, in news, if you see news parlance, not even 10% is being spent on digital right now. The money is still with print, still with television, and that's a question I think all the marketers have to ask because the consumer is shifting. Consumer is same. He will not behave differently while consuming news or while consuming sports. So that is a big shift that we're seeing. Second is that in terms of information, he is interested in knowing starting with his sub-district, then state, then national information. So for him, the most important information is at a sub-district level and a district level first, more than the national, what is happening or international, what is happening in the Ukraine war 6 months later. He's not interested in that as much. And another thing we saw is that there's a big push in the digital news consumption happening in the 18 to 35 age group, which I think is the most relevant for all the major brands which are out there. And that is where I think people are definitely in the news per se, moving away from print a lot. And finally, users, we've seen that age group, especially 18-35, they want facts. They don't want opinions. And if you see the news that is being dished out, especially on television, there is a lot of opinions, a lot of agenda being driven. And that is something we are staying totally away. So these were the things we looked at while we were launching it. So as I mentioned, we could clearly see that while we'll do a video app and we'll make it vernacular, the moat for us will be the content, because hyperlocal content is something that no one is really solving in a big way, hyperlocal credible content. And what we did is that we looked at curating content from 4 levels. First level is like in shorts, we got the national aggregators like HTTY, Indian Express, and we got them. The second one was at a regional level, so the News 18 Bangla or their state counterparts. The third level, which is the most interesting one, is that we got around 7,000 reporters on board, and these are reporters at a different district level across India. So across 700 districts, the top 700 districts, we have 7,000 reporters now who are churning out news for you, and these are all press reporters, and we have all the details for them. So they are covering a lot of information, interesting topics for relevant local audiences like local economy, local sports, local politics, all that is being covered. Another thing very important from brand point of view was that every brand, when they come to news, the first question is asked, is it in a brand safe environment? So we knew that while we are focusing on getting the maximum number of hyper local content, we also had to make it credible. So what we did is that for all the reporters that we've got a KYC check done, so we have all the details. Then we also have a geo-stamped and a time-stamped location while they upload the video. So that's another tool that we've created, because of which all the fake news is kind of taken care of. If you think about fake news, mostly it happens because it's either an old video being circulated as fresh video, or it's being shot somewhere else, like it's shot in Syria and told that it happened in UP, something like that. So with our geo-stamped and time-stamped location tool, that is clearly eliminated. And after that, also, every video is kind of fact-checked for hate speech and violence, inciting violence and things like that. For the user point of view, that is as hyperlocal the journey gets. The app already auto picks up the location, or someone can put the location also. So if you see, it goes from a state level to a district level, and then say in the third screen for Allahabad, you have 8 sub-districts. So that is how granular we have the news, and we can serve the news at a sub-district level. For the advertisers also, they can easily target at a pin code level or sub-district level, similar to that. There's no other app, I think, in the news space which is able to give such level of details. So overall, as I mentioned now, these 7,000 reporters are churning out more than 40,000 videos per day. And these are all authentic, credible videos, fact-checked, and real videos. Now, to give you a sense of how big it is, InShots, which most of you would be using, will not give us more, has an overall content pool of 400 stories per day. If you look at any of the huge Hindi news channels, they will have 500 to 600 stories per day. If you look at any of the leading newspapers like Dainik Jagran, Dainik Bhaskar and all, for a state like UP, they'll have like 60 stories per day. We are having 2,000 plus stories per day. So from a user perspective now, we have solved that need that I am giving you the maximum number of hyperlocal content and information, which is fact-checked, which is verified, and which is credible, and you're getting it real time, you're not getting it next day like the newspaper. And that is what basically has helped us after launching in 2020, really scale up numbers. In 2020, we were the most downloaded app by Sensor Tower across the world. And we have actually, within just 2 years, reached a 60 million plus user base, which is the leading number in the news space, in the hyperlocal information space. So I'll leave you guys with a caricature of basically 2 kinds of users. This is the first one on the left, which is our audience in, say, Delhi, India Alpha 1 that I spoke. This girl wants news in English. The primary form of consumption is reading because they're always on the move, they're busy, and they are primarily interested in national international news. Most of the marketers and advertisers are looking at only reaching out to the left audience right now, India Alpha 1, and there's a lot of clutter there as well. The right audience is where public is kind of catering to. This can be a guy in Lucknow or any of the India 1, 2, or 3 cities. He basically mostly wants news in Hindi. His primary form of news consumption is a video, and he'll prefer news from Lucknow and surrounding regions first. So a lot of regional news, a lot of hyperlocal news, local updates and all, that we'll give through public. Any questions, guys? Yeah. Yeah, you can ask. Yes. Yeah. So right now, as I mentioned, we have a big content team in public for vernacular as well. So right now, we are not using AI as much, but that is in the plans that we'll use automated tools also for that. But right now, we have teams for vernacular languages. Yeah. 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 So that's something that we test on our own. For example, in shorts also, we can serve them video or we can serve them text, right? We see that the engagement is better for text because that's the thing they're habituated at. Also, a lot of consumption happens on the move, when the person is in the car, at a signal, or in the office meeting also for that matter, or in a metro. At those places, seeing audio content is not that easy. So we have seen that engagement still, at least for InShots, is working better for text content. While we'll definitely space it out, probably 2 years down the line, we'll have a equal split of, or a 30-70 kind of split between text and video. Yeah. 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 Yeah, there would be some sense of, you're right, there would be some sense of, because it's an old app, people have been using for 7, 8, 9 years, they are more used to seeing text, and that's why they are not moving away in terms of engagement to video. But point taken, I think there would be video consumption happening in metro on the other, especially, yeah. 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 Correct, correct. So that's why we, in terms of the content, the advertising options for brands, we are introducing a lot of video option. The small ones, the snack-based, like 5-seconder, 10-seconder, those options will be there for pre-roll, mid-roll, or even in-feed video. Yeah. No. So we have just we are not selling public for the last 2 years. The idea was to focus first on monetization. We are building the team now. So I think half the team is in place. By March, we'll have the entire team in place for public, and there'll be separate teams for InShots and public. No, no, we already have that team in place. So you can get in touch with me or my team. We've already got 7, 8 people there, and I think we will be able to help you on that. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a question of couple of months now, because we are like now aggressively reaching out, starting with the agencies first, because making them aware, and then we'll reach out to all the clients also. So by March, April, you'll see a lot of action. Yeah. Thank you. Any other question, people? Thank you so much. I'll end up with this. Bharat is ready. Are you guys? Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing great insights with us when it comes to how people take technology in different cities, tier 1, tier 2. That was quite interesting to look at.